Hello and welcome. My name is Alan. Today, we are covering this story. You know, whenever this happens, my heart goes out for the victims and the families of the victims. Usually, they are completely innocent in these events, these kind of events. But however, this is being latched onto as a case that it's the hill a lot of conservatives seem to want to die on. See, yo, guilty, they're evil people. It's like, no, there's a difference between a whole group being away and one individual having issues. But unfortunately, these conservative talking heads don't care. They see it as a, you know, perfect opportunity to attack and go after individuals. Even if they have to maneuver the facts to work better in their direction. But here's from the AP, the Associated Press. Shooter who killed 3 students and 3 staff members at a Christian school in Nashville legally bought 7 weapons in recent years and hid the guns from their parents before carrying out the attack by firing indiscriminately at victims and spraying gunfire through doors and windows. The violence Monday at the Covenant School was the latest school shooting to roil the nation and was planned carefully. The shooter had drawn a detailed map of the school, including potential entry points, and conducted surveillance of the building before carrying out the massacre, authorities said. The suspect, Audrey Hell, 26, was a former student at the school. Hell did not target specific victims among the 3 9-year-olds and the head of the school, but did target this school, this church building. So, yeah. Let's look at this. I am not showing this because when I tried to make a video on the Tyree Nichols shooting, they were like, oh, that needs to be age gated. No, this is information we need to see as human beings so we know what's going on. Personally, I would think you need to show such things, but unfortunately, anyway, I'll put the link in the description when I post them. But Nashville shooter had emotional disorder and parents didn't want the 28-year-old owning guns. So, yeah, there is more going on here. The Nashville shooter legally bought 7 firearms in recent years and hid the guns from their parents before the attack. Metropolitan Nashville Police Chief John Drake said the suspect purchased the guns from 5 different gun stores in Nashville. 3 of the guns were used during the massacre. Investigators spoke to the shooter's parents, who revealed Hell was under a doctor's care for an undisclosed emotional disorder. The parents shared with investigators that they previously voiced concerns about Hell owning firearms due to her condition. They told police they knew Hell had purchased and sold some weapons, but was not aware that the shooter had been hiding several more at homes. Tennessee does not have a red flag law, so police did not have the power to take the weapons away. The red flag laws allow a concerned person or people to make an appeal to a court to temporarily restrict someone's ability to purchase or own a gun when there is concern for their own safety or safety of others. It is not clear when the shooter was diagnosed with an emotional disorder or whether they purchased guns after beginning treatment. But since the guns were legally purchased and registered to them, a court order would have revealed the full stock of weapons in their possession. In the aftermath of the mass shooting at Uvalde, Texas, Robb Elementary School, several states passed red flag laws allowing concerned parties to intervene. One time, Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee signed an executive order aimed at enhancing school safety, but stopped short of passing any new gun restrictions in the state. We're not looking for gun restrictions laws in my administration right now. Criminals don't follow laws, criminals break laws. Apparently, they did it legally. There goes that whole excuse. Republicans, who hold the majority in the Tennessee State House, have also opposed red flag laws. From my perspective, red flag laws appear unconstitutional or ineffective, said State Representative Jeremy Faison last year. Forcibly taking someone's gun from the house without due process creates a hostile environment for law enforcement and potentially criminalizes law-abiding citizens. Again, the shooter purchased and had the guns legally. They were purchased and registered to them. This is why red flag laws exist. Yes, there are some people who are going to break the law, but for those who try legally, that's why they exist. But, certain people who have their heads so far up behind of gun companies and gun lobbies don't care. It's money over people for them. Monday's violence at the private Presbyterian school is the latest school shooting. Drake did not say exactly what drove Hell, but said in an interview with NBC News that investigators believe the shooter had some resentment for having to go to that school. On Tuesday, he reiterated that the building was the shooter's intended target and stressed that there is no evidence that the victims specifically were targeted. Yeah, I mean, I can understand it. With all the hate being pushed, by conservative talking heads and just some conservatives in general. I always have to say the talking heads are who you need to go after. But unfortunately, there are some people who drag their uh, ideations into a far more vile, putrid, you know, point. But yeah. Anyway, and like I'm saying, the 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 talking points right now is anti-trans this, anti-trans that. Want people not to be able to hear about being trans. They'll lie about what constitutes, transitioning. And with that kind of hate right now being at a serious boil on the hot plate that is American politics, these people feel enough stress. If they have an emotional disorder and they're being constantly feel like they're being constantly attacked just for being them, yeah, it's things that have been essentially you reap what you sow. They planted these seeds of hatred, attacking trans individuals, trying to cut down on any kind of protection, any kind of gun safety. And they cry, oh, see. No, this is you reaping what you sow. Again, I'm not happy anybody's dead. We should have never came to this. But, unfortunately, some people don't care about facts. Because unfortunately, these talking heads have to get all up in their fifis. They're like, no, I don't care about facts or truth. It's just my opinion. It's all that matters. You know, that's essentially what's going on. But here, this is from sandyhookpromise.org. And this specific article talks about the impact of gun violence on the LGBTQ plus. So yeah, here are some of the information we have on it. One, the massacre at the Pulse nightclub, a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, was the second worst gun violence attack in American history. 49 people were murdered as they peacefully joined together in community and dance. The shooter used an assault weapon with a high capacity magazine. The victims and survivors were predominantly Latin LGBTQ plus people. LGBTQ plus people are more than twice as likely to be the victim of gun violence than their cisgender and straight peers. Number 3, additionally, nearly 20% of all hate crimes are motivated by sexual orientation and our gender identity bias. Guns can make these crimes all the more deadly. In fact, nearly 8 of 10 homicides of black trans women are by a gun. 80%. School violence and LGBTQ plus discrimination are connected. Notably, 29% of transgender youth have been threatened or injured with a weapon on school property compared to 7% of cisgendered youth. 29% of transgender youth against uh, normal gendered youth with only 7%. Number 5, markedly, 16% of gay and lesbian youth have been threatened or injured with a weapon on school property compared to 7% of straight youth. More than 10% of bisexual youth have been threatened or injured with a weapon at school. LGBTQ plus students face bullying at more than double the rate of others. 43% of transgender youth have been bullied on school property compared to 18% of cisgender youth. Bullying rates also show disparity. 29% of gay or lesbian youth have been bullied on school property compared to 17% of straight youth. Yeah. And here's a particular comment talking about the Nashville shooting that I feel hit the frickin' spot. The really interesting point is that 3 out of the 2,840 mass shooters in the last 5 years identify as trans. 3. That's like 0.09% or a tenth of a percent, whereas there are about 1.4 million people in the US who identify as trans, which is like 0.45%, closing in on half of a percent. That means trans people are dramatically underrepresented in the mass shooter category. If it were a representative cross section of the population of the US, there would be twice as many at that. Yeah, so we'd be close at least 6, 7 shooters in the last 5 years instead of 3. So trans folks are actually less likely to shoot a bunch of random people. Guess what demographic is drastically overrepresented? Yeah. Guess guess which? Yeah. I'll give you a hint. It sounds like white, straight, cisgendered. Oh, sorry. That is the answer. My bad. Look, apparently hate is easier for some people. It makes them feel better than being honest and showing sympathy. It's just irritating. Common sense gun reforms? and common sense information would have prevented such things. But instead, we have talking heads who won't hate, who won't evil, and so they try to make scapegoats. I remember seeing another comparison was it was similar to how much of a population the Jewish people were in Germany uh, when Hitler rose to power and started imprisoning them before the actual usage of the concentration camps. I don't know how equally equivalent in numbers it is, but yeah, it is very similar. They're just a small portion, but they are scapegoated so heavily. But yeah, I want to end this by saying we need common sense gun reform. Not, you know, rip people's guns away. No, no. I've always said common sense gun reform. If you like to hunt, take you a rifle, take you a shotgun, take you, go bow hunting. Uh, if you need home protection, rifle, handgun. By all means, you have that right as citizens. But why is there such a push against common sense gun reforms, red flag laws? It's not, oh, they're going for my guns. No. Secondly, why do you have to have a group to hate? It seems like there's a subject du jour every so often for the right wing talking heads to push out as objects of ire. CRT. They're teaching your kids CRT this and CRT that. Uh, it's not taught in grade school, in middle school, in high school. It's a collegiate course. And only if you're looking, you know, to take certain course loads. Or, as is now, trans people setting evil standards. No. They're trying to live their life. They're already attacked as people. And then you putting extra pressure down on them does not help. Treat people as people, especially these people who love to be evil and go after others just because of certain traits, like being trans. You know, the, some of those same people who want to push that hate, who love to revel in it, claim, I am a Christian, so I am better. If you truly were and you truly followed those beliefs, you would be appalled by those talking points. But you aren't, and so you're not, even though you may claim to be. And number three, and probably most important, like I said early in the video, my heart goes out to the victims, to the family of the victims, even to the parents of the shooter, because they said, hey, they had a emotional disorder and we were trying to do things to keep them safe. But of course, the government of Tennessee, trying to be ultra conservative, didn't care about things that would have helped. Anyway, people who use this as a issue that will push their point of view, no, it's not right, people. If you were truly honest, it wouldn't matter that the shooter is trans. That only helps identify some of the point of why it happened. You know, they had emotional issues. And again, like I said, they were probably struggling with a lot of what was they felt was being foisted upon or against them. Anyway, I'm going to end this episode here. It's already been a long one. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these sources in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.